The Alps, quite possibly the most accessible high mountain range in the world, and an absolute goldmine for landscape photographers. From towers of broken rock in the Dolomites, to the alpine pastures and the gentle magnificence of Austria, to the legendary mountaineering monsters of Switzerland and France. This landscape has been brutally carved by nature, but also tamed and manipulated for the enjoyment of man. The Alps are absolutely fantastic for landscape photography. There are views wherever you look. This mountain here, the Aiguille de la Chalanon, I believe, something of that order. And this is the Aiguille de Pouce, up with its head in the clouds. And behind me, Mont Blanc. In sunlight, the weather forecast has been absolutely spot on this morning. It said that the cloud would be over this range, and then late morning, early afternoon, cloud would start to form on the other side of the valley around 3,000 meters, which is exactly what it has done. The weathermen here really know their stuff. Obviously, middle of the day, and I've walked up from the Plan Platz down here up to the Col du Cornu because I wanted to come to this lake, Lac Cornu here, and specifically to this point because there's fantastic views in every single direction, basically, and conditions could be better. I could be up here very early in the morning at dawn or last thing at night, but the lifts don't really allow you to do that. So you've got to take what you are given unless you're willing to hike up or hike down in the dark. But as happens so often in the Alps, it starts off as a blue sky day and then the cloud bubbles up, and as the cloud bubbles up then you start getting shadow across the landscape, and the light isn't quite so harsh, so it is possible to get some quite interesting photographs. Now, when I went to the Alps last year, I mentioned in my video then how on days like this that you can still get some moody images, so I would look at that. Because that's kind of what I was doing yesterday as well, about tightening in and not really taking the big vista shots. So there we go. This has been absolutely fantastic, well worth a visit, but I am running out of time and I need to catch that last gondola down. So Now behind me is the Mer de Glace, which is the third largest glacier in the Alps. Now 100 years ago, it used to extend almost down into the valley with Chamonix, but it's receding at an alarming rate. And in terms of depth, it's reducing in depth by 5 meters every year. And by 2050, it'll be pretty much around the corner. A really great example here of climate change in action. Now, since the last ice age, it's ebbed and flowed up and down the valley, so it does go through periods of warming and recession and then extending, but the consensus is that the current recession of the glacier is due to man's impact on the environment. Now, this particular view I've seen many times in photographs, and it's a real mecca for photographers, landscape photographers. Now, the image that sticks in my mind, and I'm going to give a shout out to Tom Whitton. He came here roughly about 3 years ago and trekked up before the first train, so he got the place to himself, and he got a very fine picture of the glacier as a result of that. Now, I've come up on the first train of the day. I didn't quite fancy the walk like Tom, and unfortunately conditions this morning aren't fantastic. We had some thunderstorms overnight, some incredible downpours, but the result has left there's some lovely hill fog, but there's some high cloud, and it's not particularly photogenic. But I'm going to have a little stand around here and have a play, see what happens with this hill fog, and see if I can come up with some kind of decent landscape photograph. hiked up to the Argentière Glacier, one of the largest in the area. And what's really interesting here is you can see the glacier in action as it's receding. It's just leaving behind all of these really smooth carved rocks. Again, the conditions are not ideal today. Could have done with a bit more cloud to get something really particularly nice. Maybe some God rays shining down on the glacier, but it isn't to be. It is what it is. But really impressive all the same. One of the most popular tourist destinations here in Chamonix is the Aiguille du Midi at 3,842 meters high, from which you can observe Aiguille Vert over behind me, to the right Grand Jurasses, and behind the camera Mont Blanc, the highest mountain in Western Europe. This is an absolute landscape photographer's dream up here. There are images in every single direction, and down below me there's some climbers, so you can really add some jeopardy, I guess, to your images. But it's a little bit sunny today, but we do have some cloud rolling over, which is very nice, and I think I'm going to come up here later in the week, first thing in the morning, to see if I can get some soft morning light. Absolutely spectacular. A little bit short of breath though up here. Ooh. So this morning I had to make an early start, and I was in a bit of a rush. I couldn't find a parking spot, so I wasn't able to vlog at the bottom, but it was a mad dash, or I'm trying to do a mad dash because the conditions this morning are absolutely fantastic. Some cloud was sort of forecast to be at about 3,000 to 3,500 meters, which puts the Aiguille du Midi above the clouds, and there was a bit of high cloud as well, so maybe a bit of colour in the sky. So that was the plan. And unfortunately, I was just a little bit because I couldn't find the car park or find a place to park the car. I missed the very first cable car, but it was all right because the next one was 10 minutes later. And I'm trying to take some photos up here and then get across to the Mer de Glace and get the first train up on the Mer de Glace. But the reason why I've come up here, and I'm going to take you over over here, just behind me there, Mont Blanc. The reason is this. Boom! Look at that Aiguille Vert in the distance, just poking above the clouds. Grand Jurasses here, and these guys, I don't know if you can see, heading down the arête there, down to the Vallée Blanche, to I think maybe make a summit attempt on Mont Blanc, or maybe just cross the Vallée Blanche or whatever. Starts in place for quite a few routes, but yeah, pretty busy really early in the morning. Ice is at its hardest then, I guess, as well, so good footing with crampons on. But wow, that is just amazing. So I've been shooting handheld because I was in such a rush, and it's actually quite difficult to find a place to put your tripod. You know, you can put your tripod anywhere, but this doesn't interfere with, or these don't interfere with, so it's a lot of it's sort of leaning out with the camera. It's a long way down to Chamonix, but yeah, so panoramas, everything is just absolutely beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking to you now because I've got things to do, and I've got to get back down to get the train up, because I'm going to revisit the Mer de Glace and try and get some mid-morning light coming through, because there's clouds. Hopefully there'll be some shafts of sunlight and things. So yeah, all my birthdays coming at once, hopefully. Well, okay, coming up to part 2 of epic morning, hopefully. Just come down from the Aiguille du Midi. I was up there about 45 minutes, back down to Chamonix. Just got to go and jump in the car, drive a very short distance, every minute counts, and catch the first or the second train up to the Mer de Glace. And I've looked on the pano cam from up there, and there's some nice light coming down towards the glacier, so fingers crossed. Well, I've made it to Tom Heaton's spot on the Mer de Glace. Not as much cloud as I was hoping for. Some of it has burnt off this morning already before I even got here, and of course the light's starting to get harsh now, but I still think, you know, there's a decent shot here, probably better than the other day. I'll just show you the back of the camera. There we go, shooting f10 with I am polarizing, trying not to over polarize the sky, but there is quite a bit of reflection now that the sun is quite strong, and I'm also using a grad, which I wouldn't necessarily use in the mountains, but the difference in exposure between the valley floor and the top is quite a lot. So I am bracketing, but I'm also using a soft grad on there as well, just a little bit, and if I get any issues then I'll deal with them in post.